Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 29th May 2018. The first article, Looking for a New Clarity. This article talks about the need for independent judiciary. Constitutional values have guided judiciary and its functioning till date. In this context, Supreme Court has played a pivotal role in protecting Indian democracy. So, judicial independence and integrity, these are essential for ensuring legitimacy of this institution. Now, in the Constitution, there are many grey areas with regard to the functioning of the Supreme Court. But conventions are developed over a period of time to fill these constitutional gaps. In this context, there are few issues which have recently happened that have come into question and discussion over here. The first is appointment of judges. So if you take the international practice, because of checks and balances, appointment of judges was mostly an executive and legislative function. In India, initially executive was given the priority in appointment of judges, and slowly it was shifted into the collegium. And judiciary started making its own appointments, and this process is often criticized as opaque. And executive role is getting minimized. And judiciary supported its actions in the name of independence to it. So, when appointment authority was in the hands of the executive, then this power was misused by the executive to have committed judiciary. So that's why this collegium system has come into existence. In the first judge's case, the Supreme Court was very much clear, and it stated consultation, the word consultation under Article 124 of the Constitution is not concurrence. It means the executive need not be bound by the advice of the Chief Justice of India. To understand this, let us talk about Article 124. The President of India shall appoint the CJI, and other judges of the Supreme Court are appointed by the President of India in consultation with CJI. This word consultation does not mean concurrence. That's what Justice Krishna Iyer has clarified. At the same time, Justice Krishna Iyer also has stated that whenever the opinion of the CJI is rejected, the government has to state reasons. These reasons have to be cogent and convincing. So it cannot be arbitrary. The CJI's recommendations cannot be rejected arbitrarily, but the primacy in the appointment is to the executive. That's how it has been stated. Slowly it was replaced by the collegium. And now, in this case, the recent news is about K.M. Joseph. K.M. Joseph, he is now the Chief Justice of Uttarakhand High Court. Collegium recommended his name to the Supreme Court judge as Supreme Court judge. Now, the government did not take his name forward. Now, only the solution before the collegium is it has to reiterate it, and government is expected to follow the decision of the Supreme Court once it is reiterated. Now, if government rejects it again, then it leads to a constitutional crisis. And second aspect over here is about rising corruption in judiciary. So there are many incidences. You have seen a judge from Allahabad High Court and Mr. Dinakaran. All these people, these are being asked to move out from their judgeship because of corruption. So judicial accountability is as important as judicial independence. How to balance these two things is a major challenge. Third is about CJI, Chief Justice of India, master of the roster. Now, the Constitution of India is silent on the administrative functions of the CJI. But CJI acting as the master of the roster is a convention. And this convention has worked fine till date. But however, doubts are being made on the CJI Deepak Mishra. So, these doubts need to be clarified to ensure the integrity of the office of CJI. When Balakrishnan was the Chief Justice of India, with regard to the declaration of the assets of judges, Mr. CJI wanted not to come under the RTI Act. Then also the CJI office has come into the lens of scrutiny. Now, how it has to be taken forward is the question. So this article is about. protecting incarcerated women. It is women, if they have to be confined, we need to take a lenient view compared to men. That's what is the argument over here. The reason is empirical evidence states that women who are into crime are actually the victims of crime themselves. And second thing is women may have dependent children. So when woman gets into prison, these dependent children also shall go along with her. And that is violation of the child rights. The child do not get the necessary emotional and social support that is required. And the third thing is the women are victims of violence within the jail, either it is sexual or non-sexual violence. In this context, the women can be given community service if they are involved with non-violent crimes. That's what the author suggests over here. And third, the Jan Dhan Yojana 4 years later. What is the important achievement of Jan Dhan Yojana? It was able to increase the people with bank accounts. So it has reached more than 80% now. And then government has proposed for JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile together for public service delivery. And these accounts are said to be central to direct cash transfer scheme. But the ground realities do not support this because most of these accounts are non-operational. And second thing is, these accounts did not provide for financial access. They did not provide for any financial access. And the third thing is, these accounts, these did not decrease the dependency of the small and marginal farmers on the money lenders. It means the JAM Trinity has provided a bank, that is Jan Dhan Yojana has provided a bank account, but the outcomes of creating of this bank account to remove the people from the clutches of the money lender, etc., did not actually happen. That's how this article emphasizes. Take it over. You know that Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, she has proposed for ceasefire, and the center also obliged this, and all the operations were ceased. And center wants to build goodwill with the Kashmiris. Recently, as army was aggressive and it has strengthened its operations, it has led to the killing of more than 200 people. And a cycle was created where in this graveyard people have pledged on their bodies to take up the guns. It means more and more people got recruited into militancy. So a cycle of violence is created. If this cycle of violence has to be broken, somewhere some initiative has come up, and this ceasefire is a welcome step. And Government of India also appears to have changed its strategy now. This is for two reasons. So there is a continuous cycle of violence and resources are being spent on law and order. And second thing, interlocutor was appointed and he wants to have an engagement with all the stakeholders. But to take this forward, there is another important partner, that is Pakistan. So here, India alleges that many of the people who are creating the violence are actually coming across the border. But we know that the in-house growth of the violence is also increasing. But not to fuel the existing situation, the Pakistan can do one thing, that is it can slow, or else we can talk with the Pakistan and we can make a ceasefire agreement, or we can continue the earlier 2003 ceasefire agreement with the Pakistan, so that if all the stakeholders comes to a peaceful, or else a conclusion for a peaceful life in the Kashmir Valley, that can provide for long-term fruits. The cost of deterrence. So India has tested its nuclear weapons and it was followed by Pakistan. Before the nuclear weapons, India had dominance with regard to the traditional warfare. Because of these nuclear weapons, India has lost its edge, that is for sure. And the second thing is, the nuclear weapons also have diverted our resources away from welfare towards the military expenditure, and South Asian arms race has begun. That's how this article criticizes it as. S-400 deal may affect high-tech cooperation. Now, India is talking its diplomacy as multilateral diplomacy, multilateral engagement. What is central to it? It is going to engage with multiple contesting powers on the global scenario. Here you can see it is engaging simultaneously with USA and Russia. Now, Prime Minister Modi has stated clearly that they are going to buy this S-400 anti-missile systems. Now, US also has promised us to supply with Predator drones. Now, there is a law passed by US countering American interest through Sanctions Act. This is what the law has been passed. And this law is directed against Russia. And it means sanctions are going to come against Russia, which may affect this S-400 deal. So how India is going to balance this is a major question. And then no sanctions on Iran. Again, it is a question of multi-engagement or multilateral engagement for India. And US has imposed the sanctions on Iran. And India has infrastructure issues and also energy security intricately connected with Iran now. And China has occupied the space of India in Iran by actively engaging with the infrastructure development over there. So in this context, US withdrawing from Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action will not create any hindrance for India to continue its relations with Iran. That's what Indian Foreign Minister is stating over here. So these are articles for today. The notes will be posted to you at laix.in/civilsprep. Thank you very much and all the best.